everyone, today is the first preseason game for the Red Wings, and like many hockey fanatics, all I can say is I am getting super excited for the actual season, and all I keep thinking is hockey. Is it October yet? Come on guys, is it October yet? Really, stop dicking around. Is it October yet? For real, is it October yet? Is it time for hockey? Is it October yet? Seriously, I'm getting concerned. Is it October yet? To bring you some facts that you may or may not have known about professional hockey. Alright, here we go. Fuck. There have been 14 times that a goalie has scored, 7 of which have been a shot on the goal. 7 times, and the most recent one was October 9th, 2013, in Phoenix, the Red Wings versus the Coyotes, where the Red Wings got their asses handed to them 2-5, but at least there was history being made. So when the NHL first got started, there were 6 teams, and they are still referred to today as the original 6 because they're still in the league today, and they are the Montreal Canadiens, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Boston Bruins, the Detroit Red Wings, New York Rangers, Chicago Blackhawks. Interestingly about Montreal is they were actually founded in 1909, which means they are actually older than the NHL itself. That's kind of cool. So the longest NHL game that has ever been played was between the Detroit Red Wings, noticing a little bit of a theme here, and the Montreal Maroons. It took place on March 19th, 1936. They ended up playing 116 minutes of overtime, so that's on top of the already 60 minutes of regulation time. So almost 3 hours of hockey before Detroit finally got the goal and won. Fantastic! So the player that has served longest as a captain is Steve Yzerman for 1,303 games, again, for Detroit. You know I'm not going to be able to make it through this video without talking about the Red Wings playoff streak. 23 years in a row, 23 years in a row making it to playoffs, making them the professional team with the longest playoff run ever out of any sport, so fuck yeah, Red Wings. Talking about the playoffs, we have to talk about the glorious Stanley Cup. The top 3 teams, aka the teams that have won the most amount of Stanley Cups in the NHL history. Montreal Canadiens with 23 cups, the Toronto Maple Leafs with 13, and the Detroit Red Wings. It's not gonna stop, guys. Just fucking get used to it. And the Detroit Red Wings with 11, and they have won the most recent one, which was in 2008, which as far as I'm concerned is a little too long ago to make me feel that great. A little history about the Stanley Cup itself. The Stanley Cup was purchased in 1892 by the Governor General of Canada, Lord Frederick Stanley. The cup that the best team in Canada could win to commemorate their awesome hockeyness. Surprise, surprise, the first team to win this cup was a Montreal team. They were Lord Stanley's Cup in 1893, so they again were the first team to receive this shiny little cup. Also, side note, it is the oldest trophy that you could win in professional athletics. Oh, look at hockey go. Anyone who watches professional sports knows there are always a lot of traditions that go with the different teams, and the big one for the Detroit Red Wings is the throwing of the octopus on the ice. This first started April 15th, 1952 during the, this is again with the original 6, so this is during the playoff games where it only took 8 wins to win the Stanley Cup. 2 brothers actually threw an octopus onto the ice so that each limb represented one of the 8 wins that they needed to win the cup, and it's kind of been a tradition ever since. Note, the biggest octopus that was ever thrown on the ice was a 50-pound guy during 1996, and they actually ended up strapping it to the front of the Zamboni to drive around with pride to show the Detroit octopus spirit. Yeah, Detroit! So, the Stanley Cup itself has had quite a colorful history. It has been left on the side of roads, it has been thrown into pools, it has had cereal eaten out of it, it has been used to baptize children, it has found its way into strip clubs, it has been to several countries, and it has also ended up in an active war zone. They took it into Afghanistan to brighten up the Canadian troops as well as the Americans, and they played some hockey and had some fun, you know, the general hockey smashy stuff. It has also, thanks to the Chicago Blackhawks, which is a phrase I never thought I would say out loud and actually mean, it has ended up in a gay pride parade which just shows how open and accepting the NHL is, that was a thing that was allowed. So the actual first official professional hockey game, aka people actually getting paid to play, was played in the 1903-1904 season at the D Stadium in Houghton, Michigan. West Championship game, and it was played between the Portage Lake Hockey Club and the Montreal Wanderers, because apparently Montreal can't keep anything. Montreal just has to be everywhere, all the time. Montreal, stop it! It was later that year that the International Hockey League actually got started, and then shortly after the NHL, so the National Hockey League. It consisted of 5 teams, and it was teams from Houghton, Calumet, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, Sault Ste. Marie, Canada, and Pittsburgh. I don't know how they got invited, but they did. As I'm sure you're aware, a lot of the hockey team names actually have something to do with where the team is from. Like when the Phoenix team became a team, they're the Coyotes because it's the desert, and Coyotes are kind of tough, I guess. It would have been cooler if they were the Scorpions, which was the runner-up name, but that didn't happen. But I think my favorite one is the Philadelphia Flyers, because the Flyers actually means nothing. They had a naming contest, and one of the names that was suggested by, like, the team's coach's sister was actually suggested was Flyers, just because it sounds good with Philadelphia. It actually doesn't have any significance whatsoever. It might now. I don't know. I'm not a Flyers fan. So if there's some actual meaning to it, please let me know, because I think it's actually funnier that it doesn't actually mean anything. Is it October yet? Is it October yet? Is it October yet? The NHL is actually pretty diverse, and they have players from 30 different countries, and the percentage breakdown per country for players in the NHL is as follows. This should come to no surprise to anyone. Number 1 is Canada, making up about 70% of the player population. Number 2 is the United States, coming in just under 15%. Sweden, and they're coming in just under 4%. Number 4 is Russia, coming in just under 3%. Number 5 is the Czech Republic, coming in at just under 3% as well. Number 6 is Finland, coming in at 2.5%, and last but not least, number 7 is Slovakia at 1.1%, and all the other ones aren't quite even a percent, but they're all there, they're all over the place, and I think about the first NHL player to rack in over 300 penalty minutes. This player, Dave the Hammer Schultz, pulled in at 348 penalty minutes for one season, and then followed up the next season with well over 400 minutes at about 472, which is still the most penalty minutes any one player has had ever in the history of the NHL. Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky are the only players who have ever received the MVP award for 3 different All-Star games. Speaking of the great one, he has won the scoring title, or the Art Ross Trophy, a record number of 10 times, and that's pretty fucking legit, right? Ah, it's so warm. So that's all I have for you at the moment. I have to go pick up the pile of jerseys and shirts that I have left strewn across my floor during the making of this video. And all you have to remember is it's only 17 days until the wing season, and just always keep asking. But really, guys, I'm getting concerned. Is it October yet? Bam. 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 Also, this is a little kid's jersey.